tried to stand my ground, I've tried to understand, but I can't seem to find my faith again. Like water on the sand, or grasping at the wind, I keep on falling short. So please be my strength, please be my strength, 'cause I don't have any more. I don't have any more. I'm looking for a place where I can plant my faith. One thing I know for sure, that I cannot create it and I cannot sustain it. It's your love that's keeping me. Please be my strength, please be my strength. I don't have any more. I don't have any more. And at my final breath, I hope that I can say I fought the good fight of faith. I pray your glory shine in this doubting heart of mine, and all would know that you are my strength. You are my strength. You and you alone. Bringing me back home. Oh, you are my strength. You are my strength. You and you alone. Keep bringing me back home. It's you and you alone. Bringing me back home.
This one story in particular has had a profound impact on me. It's about a woman who did the impossible, and it made me ask myself if I could do the same. Renee had 4 kids. 2 of her daughters were twins. Megan was coming home from the beach one night with her best friend when their car was struck by a drunk driver named Eric, a 24-year-old kid. Megan lost her life. Eric killed both girls that were in the car. Renee lost her daughter in an instant.
Megan is a very joyful child and had a heart of gold, beautiful, loved people, loved her family, just a joy of my life. And when she was 20 years old, on May 11th, 2002, my sister-in-law came to the door to tell me that Megan had been in a car accident and she didn't make it. my heart was so broken, and I looked at her and said, "No, you're kidding," and still looking for her to tell me that this is not really true, that Megan wasn't coming back home.
Next thing she knows, she finds herself in a courtroom watching this young man, this 24-year-old man, get sentenced to 22 years in prison. After Renee lost her daughter, she said she found herself in the darkest place she'd ever been. This guy Eric was behind bars, but she said she felt like the prisoner. Why? Because she had all this bitterness and hatred built up towards that young man. And so she reached out and did the impossible. She reached out to Eric in prison and said, "I forgive you." The ripple effects of that act of forgiveness are still being felt today. That young man's life was absolutely changed because this woman forgave him. He said, "I can't even forgive myself," and she forgave me. One by one, all of Renee's family members followed her lead, and they reached out and expressed forgiveness to Eric. So much so that now they describe Eric as part of their family, like a son to Renee. The story doesn't stop there though. Renee went to the courts along with her family, and she was able to have Eric's sentence cut in half from 22 years to 11 years.
He told me that day, the day of the hearing, that it didn't matter at this point. He said, if the judge does not grant this for me, I want you to know that I am so grateful that you are willing to do this. And he said, and I will be okay. He said, I'll be fine. But he was blown away by the fact that we were willing to go before the judge and plead for him to not have to be there for 22 years.
They say a rooster crowing is God's wake-up call. Yeah, at least that's the way it was for me. Everything, that whole night was a blur, all right? I didn't comprehend, none of us could comprehend everything that was going on, all right? We were all in the upper room, Jesus was washing our feet, then we were in the garden, Jesus goes off to pray by himself. I fell asleep. I'm not proud of it. I had a big meal. Bread makes me sleepy. Next thing we know, me, James, and John, Jesus is in our face, and he's trying to wake us up, and he said, the flesh is weak, the spirit is willing, and then before we know it, Judas is kissing Jesus on the cheek. I try to go help him. I cut off this guard's ear. For the record, I wasn't aiming for his ear. I'm a fisherman, not a swordsman. And then they arrest Jesus, and they take him off, and we ran. And it wasn't but 2 hours earlier that we were in the upper room. I was looking at him. I was looking him right in the eye saying, if everyone disowns you, Jesus, I won't. I'm with you. I love you. And I think that's what made me stop, turn around, go back. And I caught a glimpse of Jesus as they were taking him to the high priest's house. Stood at the gate, and some girl comes up to me, starts pointing at me, starts going, you're with him. You're with this man that claims to be the Son of God. You're one of his disciples. I felt like every eye was on me. So I just brushed her off. I said, you don't know what you're talking about. You got the wrong guy. I get my way into the courtyard, and it's cold. I try to warm up by the fire. And then there's this guard that recognizes me, and he is from the ear incident, and starts going, get him, he's with him, just arrest him, get him. And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about, all right? I wasn't with him. It was easier the second time to deny him. It was sometime right before morning, and this wise guy, he comes up to me and goes, who you kidding, all right? Who you fooling? You're with him. I can tell by your accent. I'm like, this is just the way I talk, all right? And the whole night, they kept pushing him around. They kept beating him. They kept spitting on him, throwing insults at him. And I couldn't take it anymore. I had enough. I was tired of people accusing me, looking at me. And I said a few things that I'm not proud of, but I was like, leave him alone. You don't know what you're doing, all right? Just leave him alone. I wasn't with him. And that's when I heard the most blood-curdling sound I ever heard in my whole life. I heard that rooster crow. And at that moment, Jesus, he turns around and he looks at me. He looks at me. And his gaze, you can't escape his gaze. I mean, when his eyes are on you, you cannot escape it. And they arrested him and they took him off. I will die with you, Jesus. If everybody disowns you, I will die with you. What a joke. I mean, what would you do? At that moment, at that time, I ran. I ran so fast, I ran so long. And you know what they did? They killed him. He's dead.
How long, oh Lord, how long must we wait? How long, oh Lord, how long must we wait? How long?
How long, O Lord? How long must we wait? How long will the trauma of terrorism, the insanity of xenophobia, the disgrace of destruction prevail? How long will the venom of violence and the havoc of hate take center stage? We are in shock. We feel the horror of this muddle. How long will the lovelessness, the anxiety, the fear reign? How long will our neighborhoods, restaurants, schools, government buildings, concert halls, stadiums, and churches be targets of hate?
How long, oh Lord, how long must we wait? How long? How long, oh Lord, how long must we wait? How long?
How long will our minds remain uneasy, our hearts bewildered, and our hands jittery? How long can we live in the shadow of shame, the fortresses of fear, the dark clouds of guilt? How long will differences destroy us? How long will the sounds of grief and mourning squelch dancing and joy? How long can we bear this monstrosity, this suffering, this cacophony? How long will senseless violence steal the gift of life? How long will innocent children suffer, broken families weep, and homeless die in the streets of indifference? How long will parents have to explain reckless death, misery upon misery? How long, O Lord? How long must we wait?
The lion feasts upon the lamb, swollen stomachs are fed clay, and every bomb dropped will blow up twice. The self-declared saviors have planted violent flames, and they have slashed and burned your earth. Oh God, do you take pleasure seeing generations turn to dust? And do you understand our tears? And if we cried out loud enough, would you sympathize with us and suffocate the flames we chose to feed? Oh God, do you care at all to see our reckless misery? Do you understand our tears? While the lion feasts upon the lamb, while the lion feasts upon the lamb.
Isn't grace our history? Isn't grace the mystery? Isn't grace the arc of your story? Didn't you live to show us the way of life? Didn't you die to give us the way of love? Don't leave our fearful hearts alone. Don't let our hearts turn to destructive answers, war, rage, revenge. Don't let our hearts settle for the placebo of us versus them. Inspire our hearts so that neighborhoods across the world can heal. And if our fearful hearts buckle, give us courage again and again. Don't leave our fearful hearts alone. From this apathy, grow compassion. From these open wounds, grow forgiveness. From this division, grow unity. How long, O Lord? How long must we wait?
Oh, sacred head, now wounded with grief and shame weighed down, now scornfully surrounded with thorns, thy only crown. How pale thou art with anguish, with sore abuse and scorn. How does that visage languish, which once was bright as morn? What thou, my Lord, hast suffered, 'twas all for sinners' gain. Mine was the transgression, but thine the deadly pain. Lo, here I fall, my Savior, 'tis I deserve thy place. Look on me with thy favor, vouchsafe to me thy grace.
I was going into the city to celebrate the Passover, and he was being led out of the city as a Passover lamb. But we didn't understand that. When I got to Jerusalem, it wasn't what I expected. There was like 10 times more people there than the last time that I'd been there to celebrate Passover, and it just seemed like the whole city was angry, like just mobs of angry people. And all of a sudden this guard, the soldier, he grabs me. I mean, he literally just pulls me out of the crowd, and he says, for me to carry this guy's cross. If this guy's blood gets on me, it stains me, and I can't celebrate the Passover. That's the whole reason I was there. It was hard to see the man through the blood. And then our eyes met. And I knew this man was not a liar. He was not a crazy man with grand ideas. He was the Messiah. I carried what I could, but he carried most of it. We began to walk. I heard the insults that they shouted at him and now at me. I felt the spit. I felt his blood on me. They'd taken a crown made of thorns, and then they smashed it on his head, and blood ran into his eyes. They laid him out on a cross, and they nailed his hands and his feet to it, and they lifted it up, and he had all of his weight on that one spike through his feet, and he would push up with all of his might and gasp for a breath to stay alive. And I couldn't watch it. He did that for hours. I couldn't watch it. And I looked down, and I remember seeing my hands. My hands were stained with his blood, the blood that I thought would make me unclean. And I realized it's the blood that makes me clean. He breathed his last breath, and he died. And that was the day that I helped Jesus carry. That was the day that I helped Jesus carry my cross. He hung and died on my cross.
into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. I assure you, this day you will be with me. This day you will be with me in paradise. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom.
My beloved friend, I know what you're going through. I know how hard it is. I'm familiar with your aches and pains. I won't tell you that it's going to be easy. Changing the world and yourself never is. There's a hunger inside of you for things to be different. I've seen your tears, been moved by your heartfelt cries, and listened to your fist-shaking anger. You long for the world to be right, just, fair for all. You want poor children in the Southern Hemisphere to be fed, clothed, and cared for. You want diseases like HIV, malaria, and cancer to be eliminated. You want bombs, bullets, and bloodshed to stop. I am the one who works underneath the surface of things. I fashion and form. I unsettle and reshape. I am. And I am not done. I will remake this world. There's a new empire that is not very empire-like. My kingdom of love is transforming the forces of hate and evil. My power is underground. Its strength comes from service, sacrifice, and selflessness of communities. Not the military, political, or presidential elite. It's going to take time, but trust me, change is beneath the surface, waiting to bloom. I am making something new, something beautiful and bold. You can play a major role in all of this. You can bring life to a world that is flatlining. You can make a new world here and now. I have made a way through the raging sea. You can choose freedom, not slavery. You can sow seeds that one day will bloom. We can do this together. Here's how you begin. You can forgive the people who have wronged you. You can love those that are hard to love. You can stand up for those who are left out. You can become great through service to others. You can join movements that build up the most vulnerable. You can fill your home, heart, and street with singing and dancing. A new world is here. And when you shine, everyone will see it. Here's the promise that I'm making to you. I will open a way for you. I will stand beside you, and I will go before you. I will whisper my story in your ears day after day. I will remind, renew, reawaken, and encourage you with my Spirit over and over. I won't stop. You are not alone. I've also given you friends and family as fellow sojourners on this great adventure. When you are discouraged, please remember these things. You are loved. I created you, and I believe in you. You can only be you, and there will never be another you. You are my beloved friend. There is a reason you'll never be a Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Dorothy Day, or Lady Gaga. Because you are you. And I made you. And I have called you my beloved friend. The one who goes before you, walks beside you, dwells within you, and calls you to new adventures.
My God, my God, why have you forsaken me? I'm a busted tambourine, a banjo with broken strings, a cacophonous symphony. I'm a wildflower with two left feet. My God, my God, I'm a professional auctioneer, and my voice is hoarse from my urgent prattling. Do you hear me? Can you help me? Will you heal me? You don't? Raise your hand. Your inattention is baffling, your silence unsettling. And my cry for help is routine, rhythmic pattern that swells again and again. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Don't you see I'm suffering? My God, I'm the orphan. Can't you feel my pulse? Sighs of neglected nurture and silences of love misshapen, and cries from wounds that will not heal. And your eyes look away. You pay no attention. Your unconcern unnerves me. My God, why have you forsaken me? I'm a refugee. My body is here, but my heart is buried. I've been uprooted and anxious fears grip me. These pains won't let go. My bones are bending and I can't stand this aching. Will you do nothing while everything is breaking? Will you do nothing while everything is breaking? How does your heart not break? Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? And my protest is prayer, and my heart's a bruise. Who can fix this dusty tambourine? Who can make this banjo resound again? Is there any bounce for my two left feet? I thought you were the one who turns chaos into grace and beauty. And am I wrong that you promised never to leave? Why even speak of a love that can heal everything? And my protest is prayer, and my cry reverberates from David in Jerusalem to Jesus on Calvary. Everyone who's ever felt off beat. My God, why have you forsaken me?
My father once told me, privilege is the power to open doors in my life. However, that all changed the day I met a man who had great power but denied all privilege. He didn't ride in with fanfare and processional. He didn't ride in at all. He walked like everyone else. But he wasn't like everyone else. He touched the people that no one else would even look at. He ate meals with people that others felt only disdain for. Over time, I came to know him. Yet I followed him at a distance. I didn't speak up when they talked nonsense about him. I thought I loved him, but I wouldn't even step out of the shadows to follow him. My fear kept me paralyzed. Can I stay in the shadows any longer? Afraid of what people will think of me? He's dead on that cross at Golgotha. His body just hanging there, waiting for a soldier to take him down and throw him in a pit to be buried with criminals. But I will not let that happen. Pilate could kill me just for asking for the body. It may cost me everything. If I get Pilate's permission, then I will go get his body and place it in my tomb. I must do this one thing for him. at least this one thing. This is my tomb, where I was supposed to be buried. And today, it will be used. Jesus will fill up the grave meant for me.